evening, and welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight, as usual, is Oguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd. We've got a packed show for you this evening. Tensions rise as college students all over the country protest Palestinian deaths and Israel's invasion of Gaza. Speaker of the House Johnson calls for Columbia University president to resign. NASCAR at Talladega with Stephen. We'll talk about that. And the U.S. Senate overwhelmingly passes aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan with big bipartisan vote after the Speaker of the House, Johnson, passed a similar House bill. The Eagles' Isaiah Rodgers is reinstated by the NFL after a year-long gambling suspension. Tennessee lawmakers pass a bill to allow teachers to arm themselves quietly in the classrooms a year after a deadly Nashville shooting. Caitlin Clark becomes first two-time winner of the Sullivan Award as nation's top college athlete. The Supreme Court takes on Donald Trump, abortion bans, homeless camps, and a blockbuster week where the former president argued that no former president can be prosecuted for their actions in office, even in cases of murder and corruption, without first being impeached and convicted in Congress. That and more. First up, oh man, I don't know what happened to Stephen. First up was going to be Talladega. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Stephen's back. I don't know what happened to you, Stephen. First up is going to be Talladega. And I want you all to look at this. This is really interesting, this race. Let me share the screen. Check out this race and check out how fast and how close these cars come to each other.
Oh my God! Great work, guys!
All right, Stephen, but let me just play this again. I want you all to look at
Are you kidding me?
these cars and look at how these cars are going so fast close to each other, and this one car crashes. It's like, if I want to ask Stephen, is it a setup? Did he crash on purpose so another driver could win? Look at that, look at that, look at that. Then he's going to go over, lose control, and the guy behind him can win. Was that a setup? And look at all the cars that crashed because of it. Stephen.
No, it was the last lap, about a half a lap left, and he had been leading for a long time. And there was two lines behind him, and anytime somebody got close, he would go in front of them. And then the other time when other people get close, he's got spotters that watch and told him to get over and stop this train that's coming. And he kept doing it back and forth. Well, this one here, if he was getting too many at one time, and he got kind of squirrely, got moving a little bit, came back and over somebody. Said it was his fault. It was Michael McDowell's drives 34. He should have won the race. He was going to win the race, but he didn't judge it quite right. I mean, it's really, really hard. If you watch the last, lap of the race, you'll see what I'm saying. They don't show you here. Well, they do. They do show you after a while. But it was a bad mistake on his part. He should have won the race. His crew chief is just mortified. He had the race won. He had a really good car, but he just screwed up. 45-1. You see, it's Michael Jordan on the on the hood of the car because he's part owner, and he was there, and he grabbed Tyler Reddick's son, and gave him high five and told him how everything was great. And they were interviewing Michael Jordan, and which surprised me was he was talking about, we got it good with Tyler Reddick, number 45. It's a good win, but Bubba, let me but it's Bubba. It just really kind of went hard on Bubba, which I didn't expect. And Bubba didn't deserve it because you see what happened the aftermath. And Stacey, no one would ever try to wreck. It's going nearly 200 miles an hour and try to wreck people so somebody else can win. And everybody wants to win. Winning is so important. Yeah, when you get to the playoffs,
so they're
winning
going
is
200 miles.
really
They're going.
important.
Look at that. They're going. Look how close they are. Can you imagine driving on 95 and you're that close to someone doing 200 miles an hour and someone loses control? You know you're going to crash. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, and if those people got so, if they could just pass them, like 20 cars can pass you, you don't have as much. You don't break the air as well as they can. So you have to keep trying to get in front. And that's what he did. And people can block for somebody else, but they're not going to try to wreck anybody. Like Dale Earnhardt Sr., he died at Daytona, and he was trying to block so his son could win, so his son could win, I can't even remember now. It's been so many years, but that's what'll get you. That's what gets you in trouble. That's what gets you wrecked when you try to block. Like people like that. But you don't intentionally try to wreck people unless you're mad at them on a small track.
Okay. Thank you. What's coming up for this week? Anything else? Is it the All-Star race coming up this week?
Far as I know, it's just another race. It's at Dover, Delaware. The one I've told y'all to, y'all really need to go because it's near you. And this is a good track. It's a smaller track. Truex should do good here. Larson should do good here since they screwed him up this past weekend. So you can count on these couple guys to do really well, and you can count on the Toyotas and the Chevys to do well. They're in the top 10. The only Ford in the top 10 is Ryan Blaney, drives number 12, and they haven't won a race this year. Ford hasn't, so they haven't gotten anything together yet. And that Michael McDowell in the 34, he was in a Ford. Two guys behind him were in Fords. But when the wreck started, a Chevrolet passed him, and still Ford hasn't won, and that's really bad for the manufacturer. It's just about unheard of. It's a real black eye to them. So they're trying to find a race to win.
The thing about all of that is, I'm bored.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. We will move on to something more appropriate that you wouldn't be bored of. Aguna. The NFL, and let's talk about, I'm going to share my screen, Isaiah Rodgers. Well, Todd, you said you were bored. I just want to make sure that you're not bored. So I'm moving on to Isaiah Rodgers, according to this apnews.com article written April 23rd, 6:37 by, it doesn't say who by, but you see that Isaiah Rodgers is reinstated by the NFL after a year-long gambling suspension. Pete Rose is back. In other words, Aguna, what's up with that?
Yeah, I mean,
That's not Pete Rose. Pete Rose is white.
Jesus. Thank you, Todd. So we have this situation where, with all the sports betting and things like that in sports right now, the NFL has certain regulations around gambling and betting on games. This young man was suspended for a year. The Eagles signed him in a risk-taking move in the offseason. And so this actually has cascading ramifications when it comes to the Eagles and their draft board, because I think right now the Eagles have like 10 cornerbacks under contract, either like Maddox, who has more of a veteran deal. You have Isaiah Rodgers, who's a team-friendly deal. And then, of course, there are a lot of the others are under like their rookie deals. So why is that important? Because, there's a lot of speculation that the Eagles will take corner in the draft early. I mean, you would move up to get a corner. So the fact that Isaiah Rodgers is being reinstated, is significant in the sense of it may give the Eagles a little bit more options or leeway when it comes to that first round pick, maybe focusing more on the offensive line or the best DN available. There's still speculation around Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. He's a cornerback that has a lot of interest in. The Vikings are looking at him. Green Bay's looking at him. So they also speculate the Eagles may also try to get him. But the fact that Isaiah Rodgers is reinstated, you may have a little bit more flexibility to go after another position in that sense. So anyway, glad he's not suspended. You only have a certain amount of window of opportunity for NFL players. So a year off is kind of career ending in many senses, given that the average career is 3 years. So it's good that he has another opportunity, and hopefully he'll have a breakout season with the Eagles. First, he has to make the team, but if he does make the team, breakout year.
Okay, Steven, any comments? Anything going on with your Washington Commanders?
Do we have the draft coming up this week?
Well, tomorrow.
Yeah. Washington's going to get a quarterback. That's the rumor, and that's all we're worried about. We get top 2 quarterback. What else do you need? We've got a lot of holes, but it's a good way to start. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be time to be glued to the TV to see what they're going to do. And I really don't know. You don't know until it starts. There's so many things that went on in the offseason for so many other teams that it's just truly amazing. And so many teams have so much. It's really interesting this year, the way everything's fallen into place. And this is going to be one of the best we've had in years. It's going to be off the chain.
So a good year for the Commanders, formerly known as Redskins, is going from like 6-10 to now you're going to be like 8-8 or something. Or now there's the extra game, maybe 8-9.
No. We're gonna surpass you next year. We're gonna have a better record than y'all. Y'all are gonna run into a lot of problems. Y'all have had a lot of changes. Y'all gonna need some help. Y'all had a lot of changes. I
disagree. I think we're at a better position than we've been in the past. I think the Eagles actually have with Saquon Barkley. We our offense is going to be pretty dynamic. I do think we've had a lot of changes. I think they've gotten Jalen some necessary help in the sense of, you got the O-line, he's got an off season, he's got a running game, we just got to fix the defensive side of the ball was always the question mark. And that's where the corners come in to sit. But they went and got Kazir White from Tampa. So, I think I like where we are. And again, the Eagles were 11-6 last year, right? They had an epic collapse at the end of the season. All I'm asking is if we win 1 or 2 more games, right? So if we do what we did last year and win 1 or 2 more games, that's 13 games. That's winning the division. That's potentially a first-round bye. I'm good with that. And so I think they've done enough moves in the offseason to win 1 or 2 more games. Now, can you say the same for Washington to say that they've done enough in the offseason? I don't even know what the Commanders' record was last year, but you figure
it wasn't good.
so that being said, you got a new coach, right? You got some flux in the receivers. You brought in a couple of Dallas players. Dan Quinn wants to have his people. I still think there's question marks at the quarterback position, but if they draft a quarterback, I don't know if a rookie quarterback's going to come in there and kind of take y'all to the promised land the first year.
It could be just like Houston. It could be just like Houston. If we get somebody like him and everybody can gel and have a good year, and with the players that we did get, it could be a year to surprise you because we're due. And like you did pick up Barkley, and that's a good pickup, but he's been healthy for last couple years. He's always iffy. If you can keep him healthy, you do have 2 more wins this year. But you got to keep that man on his feet. And he's great. He was a great pickup. You just got to hope for his health.
Well, and Houston is definitely going to be the team to beat next year. I mean, they got Diggs, and they already have so see, that's the benefit of having a rookie quarterback. So you're right. If the Commanders can get a rookie quarterback, have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, and add the pieces around him like they're doing in Houston, they brought in Stephon Diggs. They already had, they had a couple of great defensive players. They got some offensive linemen. It's going to be, and they got a running back. They got, I think they went out and got Dillon or whatever. So, or Mixon, was it Dillon or Mixon? I say Dillon. It's Mixon.
But they had a great year on their first year with the first year quarterback. They had a great year. So I
Yeah,
think
but, yeah.
Washington can do that. I'm optimistic. It's a good start. It's a good feel. We've got new people in management. Everything is a brand new day. So why not be optimistic until the first game?
Yeah, but the NFC least or the East, you do have to beat Dallas. You still have
It's
to beat
tough.
the Eagles, right? And the
Yep,
Giants, I don't think you worry about the Giants, but the AFC South with the Texans, somebody had to take control of that division, right? Jacksonville really was underachieving, and then of course you had the Indianapolis. Who Gardner Minshew was the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, right? So it's like how hard is it to kind of make waves in that division? And of course the Tennessee Titans are a dumpster fire. With they unlit, and then they're going to have they got rid of Derrick Henry, so
their best player. Their best player. They might as well just not even show up at all this year. How can you get rid of Henry? Maybe they knew something. Maybe he's got a toe problem or something. I don't know.
So I want to move on because I'm surprised Todd didn't say he was bored.
Well, I
Todd in the Hood. Todd in the Hood. That's going to be the next movie.
I don't think Todd probably don't feel well. He looks peaky.
Yeah, you got. Go ahead, Todd. Go ahead, Serena.
Todd, did you get your? I hope you got your booster.
Listen to these freaks. I can't. They're like a tag team. Anyway, I was going to say,
and it's not even Keith. It's not even Keith and Steven. Now
the Steelers will make the World Series.
And
Surprise!
Steven are getting married. Surprise!
Well, I was just going to say, instead of the Sixers getting this gambler, they should have probably, not the Sixers, the Eagles, going and getting this gambler. They should have probably just went and got Charles Barkley back, because that way they're sure to win the Stanley Cup this year.
I'm gonna write it down.
All right, so don't even talk about the Sixers. Don't talk about the Sixers.
All right. What are we looking at when we're talking about the NBA playoffs? Let me share the screen. NBA playoffs 2024. Everything you need to know. Who wants to start off, Aguna or Steven? Eastern Conference bracket. What do you guys want to talk about? Western Conference?
So let's talk about. So I'm gonna jump in real quick and say the NBA. The refs in the NBA should be fined when they do egregious things like non-calls and things like that. The Sixers game 2, right, was a crime against humanity. It was a crime against humanity. There's no way the Knicks should have scored 8 points in 30 seconds to win that game. Okay, there's no way. I know. Granted, they hit 2 critical 3-pointers, right? And then they got 2 points off of free throws or whatever.
Well,
but the Sixers couldn't even inbound the ball. So I just think that they weren't calling fouls. Embiid said it perfectly. It's unacceptable. But the Sixers are down 2-0 in that 5-game series. It's going back to Philly tomorrow. But I think we're done. That was a critical game because I thought if we at least win one in New York, we just need one. We don't need both of them. I knew New York was going to win at least one game in New York, but I thought that game 2, that critical game 2, especially how, Maxey, Maxey, who, by the way, got the MIP. Congratulations to him. It should have been it should be a tied game. It should be a tied going into Philly, but like anything that's happened this year with Philadelphia, starting with the Eagles, starting with the Phillies, you saw it with the Eagles. You saw it with the Sixers when B got hurt. We all crashed and burned. It looks like it's going to continue into the playoffs with this series. And it's just going to be a disappointment.
Philadelphia is a mess. Let me just say that
I agree with you, Todd.
Yeah, Philadelphia. But I was going to go back to Steven, who said, I don't look well. Have I got my booster? No, I haven't got my booster yet, but you don't look well either after your surgery. You haven't looked good ever since that surgery, that reassignment surgery you got.
Oh,
yeah.
all right. I'm sorry.
He's going to blame Obamacare.
Anything
I'm
else
sorry.
with the NBA playoffs before we
Hey,
move on?
Aguna, you had called it for the for your I guess we would call them Eagles, Todd, for your Eagles. No, but you called it. You said that they were going to have a hard time a long time ago when we were, you're getting a feedback, but still they might not be there. But you know what? It's not over yet. Not over yet. Still
Yeah,
early enough.
if they
So
let them
you'll
win
hear
2 games in Philly, we'll see. But I don't know. And
Right.
then, of
see
course,
the
you saw what
team.
happened to the Lakers. Go ahead.
You
Go
see
ahead.
the teams that are in the playoffs listed here. We see Boston, Cleveland. Sorry, let me move up. Boston, Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, Indiana, LA Clippers, LA Lakers, Miami, Milwaukee, Minnesota, that's New Orleans, New York, Oklahoma. What's ORL? Philadelphia and Phoenix.
ORL. That's hockey.
Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando Magic. That's who that is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Heat are playing the Celtics tonight, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we weren't the Heat and drew the Celtics. But I swear I thought we had a chance against the Knicks. This has been very disappointing.
Well, again,
All
there
right.
you
But
are.
well, can the Heat get within 14 and a half? Aguna, they just going to get blown out by 30.
Oh well, it's pretty tight. I think it's pretty tight game so far.
Oh, is it? I haven't
It's
seen the
tight so
score.
far, but that that's neither here nor there. You never know. I think the Celtics usually come on strong in the second half anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath. Put it that
Right.
way.
So we just want to say congratulations to Caitlin Clark. She is the winner of the Sullivan Award, nation's top athlete, according to apnews.com. She's still picking up trophies. The Iowa basketball star, who was recently the number one pick in the WNBA draft, won the James E. Sullivan Award for the second straight year Tuesday night. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark, even though she lost to the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Raise the roof. Go Cox.
She won and is the number one draft pick in the WNBA. I want to move on to.
If you want to talk about those salaries, what salary she made as a number one pick.
What salary did she make as a
$76K.
number one pick?
$76,000 a year.
Oh, that's horrible.
Is it?
Horrible.
Yeah, because
That's bougie
the
of
men
you.
playing in the NBA make 10, 20 times, 100 times more than $76,000.
What are you talking about? How do
So
you know that? Don't be so
and that's a
sure.
fair assessment, right? But you got to also realize that nobody really watches the I have never watched a WNBA game.
Well, they were the
So-
most watched game in history.
No, that
Well,
was the
that was a college game, right?
tournament, Cousin
Yeah.
Todd.
Yes,
That
that's
was
what I'm
college.
talking about.
That's
So-
not
No,
the we're talking about the WNBA.
Yes,
about the
hockey.
pros.
Hockey is hockey.
He should be allowed
And I
to talk.
know, we all know for a fact that Todd has never been to a WNBA game. All right, he's never
We all know for a
gone.
fact that Todd doesn't know anything about sports.
He can't name any players. Those
I
arenas are
guess
never
so.
sold out.
Charles Barkley, Maurice
Yeah.
Cheeks,
Sure,
Andrew Toney. What are you talking
the world
about?
be free. You're right. Okay, now here. So
Yeah, that was
at
in
the
the
end of the
80s,
day,
40 years ago.
yeah, I think the sport's going to evolve, right? So I think those salaries and the fact that they have been highlighted, that's the good thing. It's because it's like, wow, okay, wait a minute. Why such a disparity? Okay, go out and buy tickets, watch the games, support them, and you'll see the change, right? So, and I think
That
the
means you, Todd.
WNBA is going to be something to watch now that we've had so much rivalries. I think, especially women's basketball, have been highlighted, so much during the Final Four, which I believe their Final Four was way more entertaining than the men's, right? By far, right? So I think it's going to carry on into the WNBA season. And so I look forward to watching my first WNBA game in the summer. So it's a good thing.
Unlike Cousin Todd. let's move
What?
on.
I don't understand.
Sure.
I've seen plenty of baseball.
Did you read Michael Sam's book?
No, ma'am, I didn't get around to it, but you can send me your your
Yeah,
copy.
whatever.
All right, let me get to the protests. College students all over the country are protesting the deaths of Palestinians
Oh,
in Gaza. And I
No, they're
want
not.
to show you some protests that are
isn't
going
he crazy? He
on.
just said, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
And she's about to show you,
It's
dum dum.
Antifa. It's Antifa.
Oh,
No.
that's right. I forgot
So
about
this
that.
happened
Antifa. They're
right
trying to
in
overthrow the government.
California. So
That's
Keith
right.
knows all about this.
And they're dressed up like Trump supporters. That's what Steven
Matter
said
of
one
fact,
time.
matter of fact, Keith,
They
excuse
were.
me. Matter of fact,
You'll
Keith
say,
said, matter of fact, Keith said he was actually there.
When will I
So let's
see?
play this.
you will.
See, Steven?
I'm surprised Keith wasn't
Steven.
there.
You see what's happening, Steven?
What's happening?
Ooh, are you paying attention?
What's
Or are you
happening?
daydreaming
University of Southern
again?
California police officers are breaking up protests, college protesters as they protest all over the country. That's just one campus. I can go and show you many more.
So, Steven, do you
Yeah.
realize now you just lied?
How did I lie?
Okay, never mind, Steven. You
Okay.
just
How did I?
said
How did I lie?
you just said no. There's not. She said there's
I'm saying
protests all
they're not
Hey,
protesting because of the death
You
of
just
anybody. They're pro Hamas. They're pro
are they
Hamas.
protesting or not? Stupid
They're agitating. They need to be arrested. They need to
Okay.
be taken
Bye,
away.
dum
They're
dum.
being
You're
violent
crazy.
like they
And
were in
what you do
2020.
is
It's the
expose
same
yourself.
people. It's the
You ex-
same hateful
Now he's
people
going to
that are
repeat this
violent.
like 12
If
times.
if
Watch him.
these
This
people
is how
were
crazy
MAGA,
he
Yeah,
is.
if these
be
people
quiet.
were MAGA people, they would be on death row right now.
Right. So anyway, Stacy said they were protesting. He said, no, they're not. No, they're not. Typical.
Not
This
of
is,
course you. Oh, it's a peaceful
stop
protest
talking.
too, right?
So these are peaceful protests at the University of Texas in Austin, where the state police have come in, you see, on horses to break them up. We just saw University of Southern California. I was waiting for Keith to come on because Keith was at the University of Southern California. Do you want to talk about these protests, Keith, and what you experienced while you were there?
Well, I didn't, I didn't get in all that. First of all, I wasn't in that. I was about maybe 500 yards away. I was at Exposition Park. That's just south of USC campus. That's a park, Exposition. If you guys are, I'm sure Aguna's probably been out here before. That's where they had the Olympics, that they had the swimming pool and all that stuff. But anyway, I was there because I was teaching a class. I teach self-defense. And what a coincidence. I can tell you this, when I left, there were no crowds. They all went into the USC campus. So on USC campus, there was violence. A man tried to did hit a police officer over the head with a bottle, with one of those huge, big bottles of water. But anyway, they were throwing
big, huge bottle of water. Oh my gosh.
Well, bottle of frozen. They throw frozen bottles of water into the crowd, and so there was violence. Yes, you call that violence? I do. And anyway, a police officer was hit over the head. He had his helmet on, thank God, and they did not arrest. They tried to arrest one, and the crowds gathered around the police car and stopped them. The crowd stopped them, so they let the guy go. I mean, Stephen, you're correct. At USC, there was some violence there.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you, when we're talking about violence, when they were at the Capitol beating the police like for sport, you didn't call that violent. You said they're heroes. They're patriotic.
There were some people that were violent. There's some people that were attacked by. There were some people that were attacked by cops too, and they were defending themselves.
Okay.
Right. So there are no students defending themselves, though.
No, I didn't.
You were
But I
too
didn't say
fast.
that. I'm saying these people are supporting a terrorist organization.
You know,
We're
that's not what
They-
we're talking about. We're
not
saying that you're
don't
trying to
change the
do a false
subject.
equivalent.
No, I'm
Saying
not.
that, okay. Well, so do you
No,
think any of those are just students out there? Do you think this is a peaceful protest?
I know. I don't
Now
think there's just
now
students out there.
you
I
see
think
the
they're
fake
paid. I
police
think there are a lot of
leaving.
paid agitators out there as
So you
well.
think Antifa's out there?
Excuse me, stop talking. You see the state police
Absolutely.
moving, not so much in the crowds. Why, Guna, do you want to speak to why are students now protesting throughout the country about the way the Palestinians have been treated in Gaza? Why now? Why not
Well,
sooner?
I think this is we're in a multicultural society, right? So, you know, a lot of these students didn't grow up in the times where, you know, they didn't grow up post World War II. They didn't grow up during the 70s of the Iranian Contra, the Iranian hostage situation. And they hadn't seen all of the, you know, some of the 7-Day War, all that stuff that kind of defined the history of Israel. They're not so privy to that information. They are privy to the fact that, you know, the humanitarian crisis that's happening over there, right? So again, you're in a multicultural society. You grow up around kids from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, and cultures. And then you see this one-sided event happening where one country is just obliterating what's, you know, in their minds is open air prison, which is the Gaza Strip, in which, you know, you keep dropping bombs. They see the dead children, they see the humanitarian crisis, and they also see the United States not holding Israel accountable for some of those things. So in their minds, you know, they have to do something. And this is something that's happened throughout history. You saw it during the Vietnam War, you saw it during the Civil Rights, you even saw it early on in the 80s when people were protesting apartheid in South Africa. Young people drive awareness around things that this generation is concerned about. So I mean, whether you agree or disagree with what they're saying, they need to let their voices be heard. Hey, there needs to be some adults in the room. If it's a humanitarian crisis happening, let's talk about it. Let's at least have a conversation. You can't blindly say, hey, Israel, you can just do what you want to do, and we're funding you. We should be able to say, hey, you know what? Let's pause here. Let's bring people to the table and let's find a way to resolve this conflict without saying that you're pro-Palestine just because you're protesting what Israel is doing there.
You're pro-Hamas.
And
You're not pro-Hamas, you're pro-humanity. How about
No,
that?
you're pro-Hamas.
Can we talk? Can we have an adult conversation about the humanitarian crisis without
absolutely.
drawing
That's
a
what
line
a war
saying,
is.
is that all you can
Hey,
say
what do you
is
think
the
a
winner
war
or loser?
is? What do you think a war is? It's a humanitarian crisis.
Come on, now see, and then you're just proving my point. You're proving my point.
What?
There's
You
no
said
adults
you
in the
called
room
on
to
me,
sit there. It doesn't
Stacey,
have
and
to
he's
be a
still
war.
talking.
It's
You
not a
called on
war.
me.
It's not a war.
Aguna, I
And
gotta
I
ask
wanted
Stephen.
Aguna to finish with using that example that I
He
gave
did
him
finish. He did finish. You
about
can't talk the
the
whole show,
children
Todd.
in school. He's not talking the whole show. You want these creatures to talk the whole show?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sit there and kill all the kids just because someone's holding them hostage.
And Stephen, cousin Todd, you're not going to do it. Go ahead, Stephen. Why are the students doing this now?
Because they're brainwashed and they're really, really stupid, and they haven't been taught things that are true about Israel. They don't know really what's going on. They don't know that Hamas is the problem. Hamas is the ones that's keeping them down. The Palestinian people are being held down by Hamas, and these people here are supporting Hamas, and they're supporting the people that went on December 7th and raped and killed and then started all of this crap. If they had never started any of this, Israel is these stupid people don't know that Israel is the only country that lets every religion in. They don't discriminate against anybody. They let the women come from the other places and be in their parliament or whatever. Everything. They are a democracy. Gosh. They are the good people. These people here are rooting for the Nazis. These people here are rooting for the monsters who still have our prisoners that won't return our prisoners. Why are these people saying we are Hamas, and all Jews must die? Why do you support
There
that, Aguna? Why do you support
again,
all Jews dying? Do you
your
hate
false
Jews?
narrative.
Let's have a
False
real
narrative.
conversation about this.
Yeah,
Because do you
the
just hate?
conversation
Do
starts
you
when you
hate
don't shoot
Jewish
and kill
people?
kids.
Because they're
Stop
not
killing.
trying to kill
Stephen.
people. They're not
Stop
trying to kill
dropping
babies,
bombs.
like you said.
Thank you,
Hamas is
Stephen.
trying to kill
Yeah.
babies. They'll kill their own
We gotta have
babies.
Stephen here. Oh, Keith
They'll
already
kill
At the
their
end of the
own
day,
babies, Stacy.
Israel
And
is
these
killing their own
people,
people. You realize Israel,
Thank you, Cousin Todd.
they're killing their own people by killing the hostages.
Okay.
Israel's doing that.
What I wanted Aguna to get to was a point that I had made a few weeks ago, which is because I thought that would get Stephen's brain to functioning properly.
Good luck with that. Good
Well,
luck. It hasn't happened in the last 10 years.
okay. Well,
I'm
I
right.
was
I'm right
telling-
every time.
I was telling
See,
Stephen,
that
right
statement alone doesn't make sense.
It does.
How
Right.
can
Tell
you
me
be
when I was
right
wrong.
every time? How can you be
I'm
right
right.
every time? That's impossible.
It's just about every time. About every discussion we've
You
had,
said
it turns
you were
out I'm
right
right.
every time.
Hey,
That's
how
wrong.
much money are you going to give Black Lives Matter now, Aguna? Were you right when you did that? No,
Don't
you were
try to
wrong.
deflect.
Everything
Stop
you've done, every
deflecting.
argument you've
You're
had,
not
you've
right.
been wrong.
You're
Did I
deflecting.
kill my
You're
people? Did I
deflecting.
kill my family
You're
around me because I didn't
deflecting.
get the
You were
shots?
wrong.
You
You're
told
not
me
right
that.
every
You've
time.
been wrong every
You are
time,
not right
Aguna.
every time. That's my
Aguna, I'm
point.
right. I'm right a hell of a lot more than you are.
No, you said you were right every time. That's wrong. Let's continue.
Against you, yeah, but not everybody, not all the time. But
You
against
were
you,
wrong.
I'm right 100%.
You were wrong. Stop it.
100%.
Okay.
And I
Stop
told you
it.
on the
It's
show not too
enough.
long
It's
ago, you said,
enough.
what do you want,
It's
a
enough.
cookie?
No, Stephen.
Yeah,
It's enough.
you know it's right. You know I'm right.
Stop. Bedtime talk.
You want death
Shut up.
to the
All right,
Jews. You want all the
Stop
Jews to be
Stephen,
killed.
deflecting. Stop deflecting. Let's have an adult conversation.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Go ahead, Todd.
From the
Okay.
river to the sea.
Oh, shut up.
Jesus Christ.
Stephen, you never stop. Now look, what these people, what these college age people are saying is, hey, you can't just kill indiscriminately. You see that you're killing children. And what I was telling Aguna to say was that story I talked about, if you have a crazy person in a school shooting up the school, and you send the police in there to get that crazy person, you can't very well kill up the whole school trying to kill that one person, which is what Israel is doing. They're just killing in masses. And these are innocent people that you see, and you keep saying, no.
Not
But
true.
you see dead
He
children.
doesn't have anything else to say.
You see
They
gotta
dead
realize
they
children.
intentionally try hard to not
Okay,
kill babies and kill women.
Okay,
They try
but-
intentionally. They
No,
try
they
hard.
don't.
But the
That's
side
why-
you support
That's why
willingly
one in
kills
every
babies.
five
And they
Israel soldiers,
rape babies.
a
Your
soldier in
side that you
Israel-
support rapes babies.
1 in every 5 soldier from Israel is killed by friendly fire. So what are they trying?
Who said
And
that?
so-
You?
No, look it up. It's a fact.
All right.
Gosh, see, that's
All
Where
right,
did you
I
get
want
that
y'all
from?
to stop talking.
Google
look
Is
it.
that from the
video.
Gaza?
Google it.
These
Google it, Stephen.
these
Google
are
it right now.
protests.
I know,
Excuse me,
can't.
these are protests. University of Minnesota, Columbia University, New York
Oh,
University.
Stacy, don't do that. Don't ever try to prove anything to a crackhead. Now, he said there's no protest. No, there's not. And
Over
we all,
120 arrests. Let me start this all over again.
It
so you
wasn't
can hear this.
protest
Watch
as she
this.
said it was.
she said there's
They're
been
protesting the death of little babies. They're not.
and
You know,
And
I just want to know,
Steve-
why is it every time young people let their voices be heard, it's like people are uncomfortable. They're exercising their rights.
but if you don't say what Stephen wants you to say, you're evil.
They want genocide upon the Jews. This is what these people.
Did you go to the protest? Did you
It's
ask them
dead
that?
silence in here. Okay, there's no voices on this.
Terrified by what had happened last night, expressing their
Oh
outrage
my
over the 120
gosh,
people detained on
Stacy.
campus during heated confrontations with police during a pro-Palestinian protest Monday night. Zach Samelin, a Jewish faculty member, was among those arrested.
So there was a call to prayer began, and they sent in the riot squad.
When you saw the riot police, what went through your mind?
I grabbed my daughter, I handed her to my wife, and told her to get out of there as quickly as possible.
University officials say disorderly, disruptive, and antagonizing behavior was happening, as well as reports of anti-Semitic incidents before police moved in with riot gear and zip ties. This morning, universities across the country struggling with the unrest as some students fear for their safety.
It's just hard to see that we have reached such a point where we can't talk to each other.
According to a Columbia University spokesperson, as part of its agreement with students, they've agreed that any outside protesters will leave campus. Meanwhile, House Speaker is expected to meet with Jewish students here at the campus later today. Hoda.
All right.
Okay, just let me
Why are
say,
they showing the protests
Stacey.
in Israel? They're not
Right.
showing the Israeli protests of Netanyahu. Why are they showing those?
Who
Well, they
cares? We're the ones who
do
initiated
that.
it. The
And
United
Stacey,
States
what about
initiated
yeah,
that.
okay, yeah.
All right,
But we
That
want him
fits
out
your
of
we
there.
got to
narrative.
move on. We
Oh,
can't
That
spend
good.
all
fits
day
your
on this. We got to
narrative.
move
I
on. We got
It's
two
the
more
I'm
We
truth.
speakers.
just
did something
telling
wrong.
you,
Who's we?
we didn't
We
hear
did
the
something wrong.
first
Who's
part
we?
of that. It was just dead silence. That's why we kept talking. The voice wasn't on that recording that you played until much later.
Okay, thank you. The voice, I heard it, but I guess you guys didn't, and I don't
No,
want to play it over again.
no. Don't play
I
it over again. We got the
I don't want
end
to play
of
it
it.
over again.
Right. We got the end of it though. But that's why we kept talking because it was dead silence.
Okay,
Just letting you know.
thank you for explaining that. So let me move on because to see what's going on with the
But Aguna and I just wanted everybody
Supreme
to
Court.
know Stephen's crazy. And
Right.
You've
it's
said that multiple
obvious.
times.
Well, because some people are slow to
When
learn.
you're a Nazi, you're just the same as a Nazi. This is what they did to
Okay,
Jewish people. They're doing it now again to Jewish people.
What are you
And
talking
you're
about?
on the
You're just
side of the
saying
Nobody's
stuff.
people
You're
killing
just
who are
saying
Jews.
stuff for shock
you're
value. You're
Nobody
not
is
making any
killing
you're
sense.
Jews.
you're on
Just
the
because
side
you
of the
say that
people.
Palestinians
word
that are
doesn't
being
make it as
killed.
true. You're just using that word for
No,
your
it's the
own.
same spirit.
No,
It's
it's
the
not.
same. It's the same. You just hate the
It's
Jewish
not.
people.
It's not.
You hate the Jews.
So what are the Jewish people doing to the Palestinians?
They're defending themselves.
Against the
They're
citizens?
defending
Against the
themselves.
Against the
all right.
children?
Palestinians or
So we're going
against
to hear
They're
this.
Hamas.
not trying to
Please
kill
hold
Again, you're
on.
not
children.
making any sense. You're not making
They're
any
not trying
sense.
to kill children.
But they
The
are.
people you
But they
They
support
are.
use
They
children
are.
as shields.
They are.
Yes.
It's the
I
people you
support peace.
support.
I
You
support
are
humanity.
your spirit.
You don't support humanity?
Your spirit is dark.
Are reviewing a state restriction
Shut
on
up,
abortion
bro.
since they
Your
overturned the
spirit
Roe
is
You need to
versus
dark.
grow
Wade
up.
ruling
You're gonna,
almost
yeah,
2 years
whatever.
ago.
Okay.
Jan Crawford is at the Supreme Court for us. Jan, good morning.
Spirit is
Well,
dark.
good morning. So, the Biden administration
You
is
don't ever mute
Dungeons
him,
and Dragons.
Stacey.
strict
Get out of the Dungeons and
restrictions with
Dragons.
a really creative
Listen at
legal
them.
argument. They're saying that state law, which bans almost all abortions, actually conflicts with an existing federal law that requires hospitals to provide emergency care for pregnant women. 2 years after the Supreme Court sent the issue of abortion back to the states, the justices will take up a near total ban in Idaho that some doctors there say is putting pregnant women at risk.
It feels like everything has gotten so extreme.
Dr. Stacy Seib is one of only 5 high-risk pregnancy doctors left in Idaho. He says the law is compromising care because doctors are afraid to perform abortions, even in cases where the state law seemingly would allow it.
Pregnancy is really complex, and there are things that can go wrong. We need to be able to help take care of people at this point.
And, you could face criminal prosecution.
Yes, and jail time.
The Biden administration sued to block Idaho's law, which bans almost all abortions with narrow exceptions to save a pregnant woman's life or in cases of rape or incest, arguing it conflicts with the federal law that requires hospitals to provide necessary stabilizing treatment for pregnant women, treatment that may include abortions.
They continue to say that this is putting women's lives in jeopardy, and it is not.
Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador says the state's law already allows an abortion if the woman's life is at risk and accuses the Biden administration of trying to find a backdoor way to broaden abortion access in states like Idaho.
There will be more abortions happening in hospitals because they will create an exception that will allow any type of abortion to happen in the state of Idaho.
Now, this case could have far-reaching implications. A ruling, for example, that blocked Idaho's law could undermine abortion restrictions in more than a dozen states. Gail?
Thank you. Cousin Todd.
The best you sounded all night.
You're on mute, Todd. Stacey got you on mute.
Okay.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was Cousin Todd.
Okay, let
Right,
me.
you don't mute him.
Okay.
And his dark soul.
You have dark
Okay,
soul,
shut
man.
up, shut up, Steven, shut up.
You're supporting
Shut up,
evil.
shut up, shut up, shut up. Now, this Idaho thing, I don't think Steven really, or Keith, understands, because they're not physicians, the body,
Are
when
you?
a woman gets pregnant,
Doctor?
and no, I have a lot of family members who are doctors, so I'm well equipped to answer that. Now, you unfortunately have no idea what it is to have a dead baby inside of you and not be able to get that baby out until it comes to term. I have a cousin who the baby died and she had to wait. So you have a dead baby. Do you know that will give you diseases? And until you are what they deem as imminent death, they don't have to touch you. And so while you're in this state of where your body is being diseased, that Idaho does nothing for you until you're in that imminent death situation. Well, what if you become sterile from that? And these people want to have a baby. This one woman, she couldn't wait to have her second child. But then the doctor said, at about 16 weeks, this baby is not viable. It's going to look. Did you hear that laugh?
Yeah, you're just droning on about nothing. She wanted to have a baby, but the baby died inside of her. Did I kill the baby? Did Keith kill the? Who killed the baby?
Look at the lack of empathy. Listen to the lack.
Finish, Cousin Todd.
And this is how dumb he is.
You're so dumb.
We're talking about abortions, not in the way Donald Trump has programmed your dumb behind to think, oh, women are going to a party and then getting pregnant and saying, oh, I'll get me an abortion tomorrow. That's not the case, you dumb black loony.
What are we doing?
What's happening is these people want to have a baby, but the baby is not viable. And so in those cases, that person should be allowed to have an abortion. That's what they're talking about. Not this abortion on demand that you sick people think is happening. That's not happening. That never happened.
It does. It does. What are you talking about? It never happens. What is that? You're saying every time a woman has an abortion, the baby already died? Wow, that sure takes a lot of the responsibility, and that changes. You just said exactly what you said. That's why I'm laughing. You're being ridiculous.
Women
wants an abortion. The baby died, but they won't give an abortion because it's illegal now. Come on.
Why are you making a joke out of this, Stephen? It's not funny.
Because he's not making any sense. He's the joke.
No, you're making.
I'm not making a joke. He's the joke.
No,
he said it's not abortion by demand. That's the joke, Laguna. It is abortion by demand. That's why we want to slow
You're
this down.
laughing about abortion. It's not funny.
That's why we let the woman see the baby.
Joke about
They run the thing on the baby, on the lady's stomach, so she can see the baby.
It's not funny, Stephen. It's not funny.
Look at
being a man, those things. You should know when to take things seriously.
You know why I'm laughing, Aguna? Because obviously, if the baby dies in the womb, it is not an abortion. The baby's dead.
Do you see how dumb he is?
You take it out.
That's not true. It has to be aborted. The fetus has to be aborted.
This is why.
But the baby is not killed alive. The baby's not ripped limb from limb alive. It's already dead.
Can you
Nobody,
shut them up?
everybody
It's
would
still,
say,
Can you
it's
shut
everybody
still
would
them
let
under the
up?
that
law.
baby
Under the
be,
law,
that
she has to
would let
take it
that
to
baby
term.
be aborted that's dead.
Then
All right,
you
I said
clearly don't
stop,
understand the law.
stop talking one at a time. Todd, you
Oh,
have to finish. You can't
finally.
go on the
You
whole
can't
show.
tell me that. You can't tell me that because you sound as dumb as
Sure I
Stephen
can.
and Keith.
I just did.
You are dumb.
But see, the fact that we're even
Can you
having this
finish?
discussion shows you how complex pregnancies are. There should
And
be,
it shows you how
and it shows how
dumb
ignorant the opposition is.
exactly.
Because at the end of the day, the
No, it's
government shouldn't be involved with these private decisions. They
That's right.
shouldn't be
But let me just
involved
finish.
with someone's right to choose. They shouldn't
That's
be
exactly
involved
right.
with family planning. And if they are, then there's going to be even more overreach when it comes to other things. So this is
That's
a
right.
slippery slope. If you claim to be a libertarian, which I don't know what the hell Stephen is nowadays,
You
it's just
can't
whatever
Sure.
Keith
murder
wants to be.
people.
You know, you can't have the government involved in your bedroom.
That's right. Now
That
let
means
me
you
let
can go
me
to
murder
jail,
people.
Stephen. That means you can go to jail for masturbation, and basically
You
under this law, you
can't
can go to jail for
murder
that.
people. It's
You're
a
okay.
murdering that.
child.
What are you doing? You're playing
You should
God.
not be able to murder a child.
You keep trying to
Okay.
use trigger words in order to make yourself
Okay.
sound
All right.
brilliant.
Stop.
It
Stop
just makes
talking.
yourself
It's
sound
Stop
the
ignorant.
talking.
truth.
Stop
Go find your
talking.
safe
Thank you.
space.
Stop talking.
Whatever. Stop laughing about abortion. It's not funny. Be a man.
Stop talking.
You're
Be an
funny.
I gotta
adult.
You're
move
funny. You
on.
don't know
Okay.
nothing
Grow
about
Keith,
being
up.
a man.
Grow
stop
up.
talking.
You got an evil
Don't
spirit
get
in you, man.
mad.
You
Have
got
an
an evil
adult
Stop
spirit.
conversation. That's
talking.
Okay.
all we're
I
trying.
said stop
You
talking.
got an evil
Please stop
spirit, man.
talking. Go ahead, Keith.
That's all you can say.
What do you mean,
I'll
Keith?
try.
You
I
can say.
never got a chance to say what I was saying.
It's Keith.
Go ahead, Keith.
Well, Keith, yeah, tell
No,
us
no,
about your
no. I'm not gonna
experience.
let
Tell us about your
no, no, no.
experience and your decisions.
Well, I can tell you, I already did what I want to say. Once again, it is not an abortion. It's not an abortion if the child dies on its own. I mean, the child is dead. If the child dies in the womb, that's not an abortion.
That's not true,
That's not
dumb. You're not a doctor. You're dumb.
not an abortion. Abortion is a
We're going to move
procedure
on.
that removes the
Okay.
child that is alive from the womb.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
Stacey.
what an abortion is.
Stacy,
Stop
And,
calling my name, Todd.
well, you can't let stupidity rule. Listen to me. Listen to me. These people are not doctors. You know, little Jenny is a doctor. What he just said was absolutely untrue. And you're just sitting there like an idiot. Instead of saying, hey, Keith, that's not true. I'll give you an example.
Well, the doctor's, it's not by the doctor's fault that the baby dies. You know, if the baby dies on its own, of its own accord, that's not the doctor's fault.
But
So
that's
why
not,
would I
we're
call?
not talking about the Supreme Court ruling and abortion and what that means
That
to America.
this is the Supreme Court ruling. And this is why the Supreme Court, this is why people like Stephen and Keith cannot weigh in. Only physicians can weigh in because they have no idea. Stephen just said,
You're not a
Keith,
physician, Todd.
Stephen and Keith just said, oh, well, that's not an abortion. If the doctor
I did
takes
not
the
say
dead
it's
baby
not an
out,
abortion.
that is an
Of
abortion.
course, anything, the baby always comes out dead when it's aborted, or if it's dead inside the woman, it has to come out. It's going to be dead in both ways.
I can't.
Right.
All right.
We all agree with that.
You all have to stop now.
This is a
You have
good
to stop.
debate,
I don't
Stacey,
understand what you're
because
saying.
this
We're not
is
talking about what the Supreme Court is deciding. You're focusing on something else. Stop focusing on something else
all.
and
This
focus on
is
what the
all
Supreme Court is talking
encompassing.
about.
And that's what's
This is-
fun. That's what he was doing. He was trying to take it
That-
somewhere else. He didn't have to answer the question.
this
The
is
women
what-
already being protected, Todd. The women, if their health, of their health, and the two of things that they already mentioned in the law. So if their health is a
No,
question,
it's
it
not.
said it. Stacy, show it again. It said if the health of the mother is at stake.
No.
But did you not listen to what the doctor said? The doctor said that every pregnancy is complicated, and every pregnancy there's a risk of loss to the mother. Every pregnancy, a woman can technically lose her life because of a pregnancy.
You can
That's
technically
not
die
in
every time
nature.
you go to surgery. Technically.
Right,
Who cares?
exactly.
That's not an
So
argument.
for the government to wait,
That's not an
you're
argument.
proving my point. You're proving my point. It's for the
Stacey,
government
it
to
is what
weigh
you're
in on
talking
that
about. You're trying to
is an
narrow it.
overreach.
No,
Because
it's not.
everything is a case by case
Because
scenario. It's
you
an overreach.
cannot, in medicine, it's not one size fits all, dumb.
Exactly.
We had like, how many, 1 million abortions? I think they're happening on demand whenever a woman wants them. That's what
Why are you
happened.
trying to
Okay, be
deflect? The fact of
quiet.
the matter is,
I'm not
government should stay out of
disturbed.
people's health options.
Fire with
He
fire
said it
Thank you.
was
possible school
Not
shootings.
the
You
government's role.
approved a bill allowing some
can't kill
teachers to
people.
be armed in the classroom. As ABC's Andrea Fujii shows us, it was a vote that was
You're
met
for
with
capital
protest.
murder, you dumb black loogie.
Amid protests and after a heated debate, lawmakers in Tennessee have approved a bill allowing certain teachers to carry firearms in K through 12 schools. Critics claim it will only make schools more dangerous.
This amendment is to rename this bill the Refusal to Protect Kids in Schools Act, because that's exactly what you all are doing.
But 1 year after a gunman opened fire at the Covenant School in Nashville, killing 6 people, including 3 young students, supporters of arming teachers say it will make a potential school shooter think twice.
This bill seeks to make the bar so high, but to allow the locals to have that it would create a deterrent across our state.
The bill will allow teachers to carry concealed handguns on a school campus if they meet certain requirements, including a background check, a psychological evaluation, and 40 hours of firearms training. Also, the principal, school district, and local law enforcement would all have to sign off on arming school staffers. With state approval, Tennessee is set to become at least the 30th state to allow
Tennessee.
teachers to carry guns
Country
in some K
backwards.
through 12 schools. But a recent nationwide poll found 54% of teachers believe arming educators would make schools less safe, compared to just 20% who believe it would make schools safer.
Republican Governor Bill Lee is expected to sign the bill. And now,
Okay, so let's start with Cousin Todd, then Aguna, Stephen,
Let
and
me
Keith.
go
Cousin
first.
Todd.
Yeah, I love
Who
that.
want-
This is what Keith and Stephen are going to say is this is great until children start dying. And what happens in these accidental deaths, Stephen and Keith, I'll tell you what they're going to say before they say it. Well, accidents happen. Come on. Accident. I'd rather it be 1 kid than 5 and all those kinds of stupid. Anyway, this is not a good idea. And but there's no warning these people. They have to see it first and then make excuses for it, death after death after death. But eventually they'll find out that arming people is not the way to go, because police don't know who the bad guy is when they get there. And then here they go with everybody's got guns, so the police don't know what to do. So it makes the police job harder.
Nah.
Yeah, well, the thing I like about this bill is that you got to get law enforcement, the principals, and basically the school district to sign off on it. So a lot of this is, which of course, more than likely, nobody will, because again, it's ridiculous, right? They're trying to do something that's they used to, Republicans used to always accuse the Democrats of doing things like this, like standing on the bodies of children, doing these knee-jerk things for gun control. Now you're seeing it in reverse, in which you actually think it's a good idea to arm a teacher who may have a bad day or get in a fight. Can you imagine a student getting a fight with a teacher, or something happen, or the teacher's trying to break up a fight and the students get a hold of the gun? It intersects another risk into the situation. And I get the 40 hours of training. I get they have all these different things, psychological things and everything like that. But a good guy with a gun becomes a bad guy with a gun in a split second based on a decision, right? So you're just interjecting additional complexity. I think the lawmaker from Tennessee made a good point about this being the Don't Protect Your Child bill. Because again, you think that the only thing you can do to protect the school is to give the teacher a gun. That means it's a failure on so many levels on other things that you fail to do, right? And it'd be very interesting to hear what law enforcement has to say. And again, I know law enforcement officers, very close friends with chief of police, in different cities. And they always say the more people you arm, the less likely that police will adjudicate or decide who's a good guy and bad guy. They're going to go in there and just eliminate any threat that they perceive. So if you're a good guy with a gun and you don't stand down, or they are coming to eliminate the threat, and you get caught in the crossfire, so be it. And there's a tactical advantage to these school shootings that even a person with a gun is not going to have, from a tactical perspective, is not going to have that much of an advantage of a mass shooter intent on killing people. So again, this is more smoke and mirrors about trying to react and getting his knee-jerk reaction from people like Keith and Stephen, who's going to defend this asinine decision to put more guns in schools and thinking that's some type of preventative measure. At the end of the day, most of these school districts are not going to want to have kids in a classroom with an armed teacher. Teachers are there to teach. They're not there to be security guards and all these other things. It's ridiculous.
Okay, Stephen.
I don't ever speculate on what Todd or Aguna is going to say. I'll say the same thing I've been saying for so many years. You have to secure the buildings. That's the most important thing, and they have done that. I go to a lot of schools, and they become too interested to try to get into one place and at the same area. You go through this one place, and you have to go through another, and you've got to be checked out both times. That's how you stop most of the stuff. And Todd, you said they have to wait for the cops to get there. By the time the cops get there, it's a reason that you would want some kind of going. If something weird happened, somebody can make their way through. You have to have something. I would say maybe not the teachers, but maybe a cop that hangs around, and they're in some schools too, and that makes a lot of sense because this is what they get paid to do. This is what they do for a living. And like Aguna said, they're not teaching. But it's you have to secure the schools like it's Fort Knox. These are the most important people in our future of America is our kids. And when these were happening years, and we've been doing this for a decade. This is, if y'all remember, a long time ago, I always say secure the schools. It would be nice to have old school where you can have the 1920s or something, or 1800s, and people had to have a gun everywhere they went. It's not like that. So it just get a cop, get maybe a couple cops, have a deal worked out with police force and all that. But it's you just want to protect the kids at all costs. And I was just like 100 million times, secure the building like it's the most important things in the world, because they're your kids.
Thank you. We have a comment from a listener or a viewer who says, "You gotta love YouTube." Says, "I doubt having armed teachers will deter anyone who's dead set on shooting in a school." Keith, you used to work in a school. What is your opinion on allowing people to be armed in schools?
Well, I think it's a great idea because, first of all, before COVID, we had police officers, we had school police that were armed, and they were on campus. They had their office in the campus, and they patrolled inside the campus and outside the campus. And they were
police.
Say that again. Say that again.
I said they patrolled both inside
Who
the campus.
did? The
and
police?
outside the campus. And they had guns. And
We're
they had
asking you, who did that?
How come I'm getting interrupted? Why am I
Who
getting
did that? We don't
We
know
just
who you're
want
talking
clarification.
about.
Why am I getting interrupted? I
We
wanted
just
to
want clarification.
they had guns. They had
The police
uniforms.
had guns. Gotcha.
Yes. They had
Okay.
uniforms. Okay, they had uniforms, so it was obvious that they were police officers, and it was obvious that they had guns.
Well, do tell.
The teachers will be in plain clothes. You won't know whether they have a gun. They'll have it concealed, most likely, not carrying it on their hip, on their side. So nobody will know who's got a gun and who doesn't have a gun. But the notion that someone can defend themselves and shoot back, I think that is a great deterrent. And it works very well. It works right here. I see it right every day.
Okay. So that's going to stop a schizophrenic kid who's been on death by cop from going in there.
It is possible.
It's possible. Okay.
But if it doesn't
versus locking a door,
doesn't stop, then the teacher who will be trained, hopefully will be able to have a chance to stop them and save some lives. So I think that's
do you know that officers that are trained for years still don't have the same reaction time to deter a serial or a person who's trying to do a mass shooting?
That's
right. You can train for years and not have the right reaction time. So you think a 40 hours with one teacher training is going to be able to do that?
Making a presupposition.
No, I'm just saying you're interjecting another level of risk that's unnecessary.
You don't know that. I
do know that. So if you look at the mass shootings that have occurred, look how many of the mass shootings, there have been almost 400 some odd mass shootings in the country. Look how many of those mass shootings were deterred by a private citizen with a gun.
is
I'll
general.
guarantee you it's less than 2%. I think it's maybe 1 or 2. And that was on a whim. So more than likely, they're not going to have a tactical advantage. Talk to law enforcement. Talk to any cop. Go and talk to any cop. Go outside your house right now and ask them if arming teachers in school is a good idea. I trust him more than I trust you.
I'm a self-defense trainer. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, ask the cop. Ask law enforcement. You think they don't know about self-defense?
Like me. Why can't a person be trained like me? I'm not
You can be trained, but you're not going to be. But you're also a teacher. Let teachers teach. Okay, I don't need an armed security guard teaching world history and having to worry about how to draw or whether or not his life is threatened.
They did
Teach
that back in the days.
Roman history. Don't sit there and have to decide whether or not you're being attacked by a 12-year-old.
They did it in the days of the Wild West.
Oh yeah, and we're living those days right now. That proves my argument. Okay, back in the Wild West, so it's good enough now. They also didn't have running water. They also had amoeba dysentery. But I guess it was good for them back then. It's good for us now.
Well, they were able to protect.
That's not an argument. That's ridiculous.
They were able to protect their kids. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but they didn't have cell phones either.
Yeah, you don't have to have a gun to protect the kids. But if you do want a gun,
look, Keith, just never use that analogy again. Saying we did it when there was no law in the Wild Wild West, we should do it now is not an argument in the modern world.
It's a great argument.
It is not an argument. They didn't have law enforcement. They didn't even have roads.
There was no law.
They had horses. They had horse and buggies.
It's like I carry a flashlight.
It is not a good argument. Don't say that again. You're going to be laughed at.
People carry.
If it was good enough for the Wild Wild West, it's good enough for us now.
Oh my
All
gosh,
you need
I'm glad I
is a
missed
gun and a
that.
flashlight, and you flash it in their face. That's all it takes.
Right.
Boom. Hit them
Come
with
on,
that.
man.
Boom. And you're ready.
All right, then you don't need a gun then.
That's how you can use the gun with a flashlight. Bam, you hit them.
But you just said you needed a flashlight. You don't need a gun.
You can use both. You don't have to, but you can.
But they didn't have flashlights in the Wild Wild West.
But we do today. See, you guys are speaking on ignorance.
Oh my gosh, Keith! I think a lot of things I think are over your head, Keith.
You'd hit them with a lantern.
Talking about, and you're speaking out of ignorance. That's all it is.
No, I just know we're not in the Wild Wild West. Is that ignorant? If we're not in the Wild Wild West now, that's ignorant.
I want you all to hear what some students had to say. Some people who are in school.
The people that are actually impacted by this. Okay, let's listen to what they have to say.
They are impacted by this. Let's hear what they had to say. Listen to this.
Flashlight.
The threat of school
Red
violence.
light.
Proposed law to allow classroom teachers to carry guns has left people divided in that state. It's legislation introduced last year after the shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville that killed 6 people, including 3 children. As Mark Strassman reports, critics say that response is the wrong one.
For a second straight week, Tennessee high school students crowded the state capitol to protest a controversial gun bill they say belongs nowhere in classrooms. It would allow teachers to carry firearms. 16-year-old Emmy Wolf Dubin says the legislation would just add more chaos in the event of an active shooter.
Time after time, the idea of adding more guns to the situation isn't effective, especially in schools.
But supporters of the bill, approved by Tennessee State Senate earlier this month, say it could save lives in a situation when every second counts.
There are some counties where they may only have 2 deputies on shift. It might take 20 or 30 minutes to get to that school. This bill tries to fix that problem and protect children.
The issue has drawn passionate pleas from both sides.
I'm mad because this bill puts my child at risk.
If passed, Tennessee's bill would require at least 40 hours of firearms training. But that's not enough to ease the concerns for some. This state's still grappling with last year's deadly shooting at the Covenant School. 3 children and 3 adults were killed.
And you feel that students are at risk with this bill?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're putting a job on the teacher that they should never have.
But if the bill passes, Tennessee's governor is expected to sign it. For CBS Mornings, Mark Strassman in Nashville.
Yeah, that is a really tough call. Why are you clapping, Keith?
Well, I'm clapping because finally somebody is acting like a man of God. Because God, it's important to be armed everywhere you go. If you can be armed, because when you're armed, you're responsible, you're more alert, you're more aware. If you are armed, don't tell me that you are not more alert. If you are armed, don't tell me that you are not more alert. I am armed, and I'm more alert than when I'm not armed. When I'm not armed, I tend to be, like most people. Just you might just forget about, your surroundings. But when you're armed, you're going to be extra careful, extra cautious, and you'll know when to use it and when not to if you're trained. So all I'm
Okay.
saying,
Wait.
they need the training.
I have
Okay.
no idea what you're talking about.
I know you don't.
That is the most ridiculous.
I know.
I never thought that you could get more ridiculous than the last
I know.
analogy you did, but you proved me wrong right there.
That's okay. I love you.
So you're saying that because you have a gun, you're going to be more alert.
Yes, you
Therefore, that's a good thing to have in school because you'll be more alert with a gun.
Yes.
And therefore, you have a gun, so you're more alert. Therefore, that justifies arming teachers.
Yes.
Okay.
And if
So
you
we'll
don't
look at
feel that that is ridiculous, then you got other issues.
Heightened awareness.
Yeah, you have a heightened sense of awareness, but that's not the root cause of the problem. You're not fixing the problem.
Oh,
You're just adding more symptoms to a bigger problem. That's what the students are saying. And you're sitting here as an educator. You're not even listening to the voices of the people that you're so-called trying to protect. Don't they have a voice in this?
Yeah, but they're not.
Don't the voices of the unborn or whatever you're worried about the voices of the unborn, but these are born children saying they're not going to feel safe with teachers being armed in the classroom, and yet you still want to overlook them and put your own selfish interest ahead of the students that you're supposedly trying to protect. What sense does that make?
What about the kids that agreed? Did you play any of that tape?
Yeah.
I bet you there are kids who agreed with it. I'll bet you.
Okay, well, fine. And so there are kids that say, hey, I'll feel safer if my teacher is teaching me, right?
Yeah.
So if we're in a representative democracy or whatever you want to say, does the majority be, are you going to take a vote? You're going to let the students vote on it?
No, with this, you protect
At the end of the day, I guarantee you, these school districts are going to decide whether or not they're going to arm these teachers. And most of these, no principal is going to want to sit there and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to arm my students. I'm not going to, my teacher can come with a gun. Don't forget the fact that they don't have enough money to pay for their paper, books, and materials. Let's focus on gun control or guns with teachers. Don't give them books or the materials they need to teach the class because they got to pay for that out of pocket. Most of these schools, Tennessee is like in the bottom 20 when it comes to education, but they want their teachers to be armed and they want them to go through 40 hours extra of training to be armed, but they don't want to, raise the bar when it comes to education.
Excuse me, they have to pay. Someone has to pay for that 40 hours of training for being armed, but yet, like you said, they don't have monies for supplies. But look at a viewer wrote a comment that their thinking is way off at that point. They'll just go in ready for war. I guess they're talking about shooters. So we have to move on. We're out of time. This will be our roundtable. And it's really important. We're going to talk about the U.S. Senate and the passage of the $95 billion billion foreign aid package. It's not a war, it's foreign aid package. Let's see that. Just a moment. I'm going to stop that and share my screen. All right.
Good. It's not every day you can say you made the world truly a better place. And it can say that tonight. And I'm very proud of what has happened. So let me just say a few things. Tonight, after more than 6 months of hard work, many twists and turns in the road, America sends a message to the entire world. We do not turn our back on you. We tell our allies we stand with you. We tell our adversaries, don't mess with us. We tell the world we will do everything to defend democracy and our way of life. This national security bill is one of the most important measures Congress has passed in a very long time to protect America's security and the security of Western democracy. To our friends in Ukraine, America will soon deliver more ammunition and air defenses and basic supplies you need to resist Putin on the battlefield. To our friends in Israel, America will soon deliver aid to help you fight the scourge of Hamas and stand up to Iran. To innocent civilians in Gaza in the midst of a war, and to those around the world who face hunger, America will deliver food and medicine and clothing. And to our friends in the Indo-Pacific, we will stand with you to resist the Chinese Communist Party. And to the whole world, rest assured, America will never shrink from its responsibilities as a leader on the world stage.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Okay, that was NBC News. We're going to start with Keith, then Stephen, Aguna, cousin Todd, Keith,
Yes.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, with the help of Democrats, passed this bill in the House. As you just heard, it was passed in the Senate. What does that mean?
Well, they actually it's going to pass, and the president will probably sign it. It's going to
It already passed in the Senate. That's what he was saying.
So the president's going to sign it. That's the next thing.
I think the president already signed it.
Yeah. So here's my point. I think that the Ukraine, I don't think that we should be giving any public money to any of these countries at all. I'm including all of them. We should fix our own problems here with the money that we have. This is our money, the taxpayers' money. Now, on the other end, there is the philanthropic giving, which, in other words, you have people within the United States who want to give, and they can privately give. And here, I did a little research on that because Aguna and those guys demand that I show, proof or evidence. So here it is. And overseas giving. This is from the Chronicle of Philanthropy by Jamie Levin, and it says here the U.S. Jews and Christians give billions to Israel. I'm just using Israel as the example here. $45 billion in 2023. That's what they say in this report, and it's published. Anyway, they say $45 billion in 2023. Now, this bill that passed gives only $26 billion, only $26 billion to Israel. So the $26 billion plus the $45 billion that comes from private organizations, Christians and Jews, churches and nonprofit organizations, all of that adds up to quite a bit. So that's more than what the 60 billion that went to Ukraine alone. So I'm trying to say that it is better for private organizations to give to Israel and all these countries that they want to give to, rather than using public money. And that's the evidence of it. And see, all that does is put us further in the hole as far as our debt. But of course, Aguna doesn't probably agree with me, I'm sure, because he doesn't think that the debt of this country is all that serious a deal. So that's what I wanted to say on that.
We just always had it. We always will.
But anyway,
and if we don't, we'll probably be in trouble.
Given in private organizations. So this shows, the data shows that the private organization between the Jews and the Christians, the U.S. Jews and U.S. Christians, they give billions more, $45 billion in 2023 altogether. I think that's quite a bit of money. That's more than what Biden has given them in this package that we have here. So,
Okay.
Where does that money go?
Thank you.
Where does that money go?
Speaking of which, please watch this. Please watch
Where does the money go?
Stephen is next. Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Please.
It's a good day for Europe. And it's a good
That
day
I
for
can't
world
answer.
peace, for real.
Oh, okay. Touche.
It's consequential. I just signed into law the national security package that was passed by the House of Representatives this weekend and by the Senate yesterday. It's going to make America safer. It's going to make the world safer. And it continues America's leadership in the world, and everyone knows it. It gives vital support to America's partners, and so they can defend themselves against threats to their sovereignty and to the lives and freedom of their citizens. And it's an investment in our own security. Because when our allies are stronger, and I want to make this point again and again, when our allies are stronger, we are stronger. It's a path to my desk. It was a difficult path. It should have been easier and it should have gotten there sooner. But in the end, we did what America always does. We rose to the moment. We came together and we got it done. Now we need to move fast, and we are. I'm making sure the shipments start right away. In the next few hours, literally the few hours, we're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles. You know, this package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security.
Okay, Stephen.
Well, Schumer and Biden said that our security depends on us supporting other countries' wars. And, you know, there's an argument that can be made for Israel, but not for Ukraine. They're making up the fact that they think Russia is going to take over all of Europe. Russia can't do it. Russia has no plan on doing that. And all we're doing by giving Ukraine money is ensuring that more people in Ukraine get killed. That's all we've done. We've never tried to come up with any kind of solution to stop this war. We just keep funding this war. And just to keep it going because we're making so much money on it. We don't care if a million people have died. They've got people now fighting in Ukraine that are missing limbs. They've got little kids fighting. They got old people fighting. Women and people are escaping from the country because it's a war they can't win. They can't win this war, but we just keep giving them money because we're being selfish. It helps us. It helps them get rich. It's the war machine. We're going to make more planes. We're going to make more of this. We're going to make everything. And everybody's going to get so rich. That's what it's all about. And if you support this, then you support the war machine. Donald Trump doesn't support that. See, what we need to support, what we really need for our sovereignty, because they say this is our sovereignty, depends on this. Our sovereignty, I didn't talk. I don't talk. Our sovereignty depends on our southern border. We've lost our sovereignty when we have an open border that lets 30 million people at least in. Where so many illegals in this country from all over the world. Other countries like Venezuela, their violence has gone way down because their violent people are here now. This is what I've been trying to tell you. This is what everybody keeps trying to tell you. But if you just listen to, I don't know, Oprah Winfrey or The View or whoever y'all listen to, or that lady on MSNBC, you're not going to know what's happening. The problem is we're being invaded. We're going to lose our sovereignty. We're going to lose our country and all of the freedoms and all of the freedoms that we enjoy, that we all enjoy. So if you're blind eye to what's going on in this country, because there was no money. This is why we're upset. There's no money to go towards securing the border, to do something to stop the influx of this invasion. The influx of the invasion.
Stacey.
But you know, Stacey would have muted my mic 10 times over and over if I had cut it back on. But she don't do that to you because you have carte blanche. You got carte blanche. You can talk over me as much as you want. I don't have that. I don't have your black privilege.
Over me
I don't have
all
that.
day long.
I don't have that. I gotta fight for every word I say. I gotta fight for every word I say.
Now I want Stacey to call you.
And you wouldn't interrupt me if we were in the same room. You wouldn't interrupt me if we were in the same room, Todd.
Why wouldn't I?
Everybody's real big, hundreds of miles away. You're King Kong climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
Why wouldn't
What's the question?
Why wouldn't I interrupt you if you were in the same room?
Woo!
Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. I probably because I'd probably scare you or jump at you, but I wouldn't hit you, Todd.
Ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Stop, Todd. Aguna.
Let me just
Aguna's
respond to that before he. Good. I'm glad. Go back to. Listen, ma'am, you'd be dead before 6 o'clock.
Oh man. See, you're trying to threaten people now.
That's not a threat. That's a
I
promise.
said I wouldn't even hit you, and you're talking about killing me. See, he's got a dark soul,
Okay,
Stacy. You
thank
can
you.
tell
Go ahead,
these
cousin
people out.
Todd.
You can tell these people.
Aguna, we lost Aguna. We lost
Okay.
Aguna. Go ahead, cousin Todd.
Okay.
Steven.
About the invasion that you keep talking about, I understand that fear. I do, and I tell you weekly, I understand because America has been invaded. America was invaded by you.
Oh God.
Now there was, oh my, okay. I put the camera on Crazy Keith. I want to tell Keith, when you start laughing, because she said, I don't know if you all listen to Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg, you laughed as if to say, you listen to them coons. There's a song my father taught me years ago. I'll sing it for you. And
You remember I said coon, Keith? Do you remember when I said coons?
This defines exactly who you are. I don't want no black woman to brown no bread for me. She steady so much evil, I'm afraid she may poison me.
Do you sing better when you're not sick?
She pours something in my coffee, and she pours something in my tea. If I hadn't jumped back further, I believe she may pour it on me.
Good grief. Good job.
That's the kind of songs I'm sure Keith grew up with. Now, that's a song. Don't nobody try to steal my song because I'm going to make that song into a hit.
I'm going to sing it next week.
That's the kind of ignorant stuff that Keith grew up with. He hates black people. He hates his mother. And so when this boy says, you listen to Oprah Winfrey, you listen to Whoopi Goldberg, as if to say, who would listen to them black coons? And so
when you listen, you watch The View. There's a white person on there, isn't it? Like a token.
Anyway, I want to move on.
Token honky.
Stephen, you are the devil. So now let me just say
I think he looks like Santa Claus. He's
I'm the blue-eyed devil disguised as Santa Claus.
You want to sit on his lap and tell him
All right, we're
all
out
of
of
your
time. Thank you.
Just when it was getting good, Stacy. Of course, you want to come and break it all up. So the truth was coming out. I don't think he looks like the devil. I think he looks like Santa Claus, and I'm going to tell him what I want for Christmas. Anyway, we have been invaded, and it was by Europeans. And Stephen is afraid that's going to happen
you
again.
You weren't even around, man. You weren't even here. What are you talking about? We have been invaded.
Oh gosh.
I don't know, man. We've really been invaded.
We were invaded by
Your ancestors
Europeans.
were somewhere and running in bush country somewhere.
We had a solid sovereign country for everybody, and it's been a great place.
All
But
right,
we're gonna
wait a
y'all
minute.
want to throw it away.
There is a documentary about
You hate your country.
America.
You
I
hate
don't
your
hate-
country.
Why would I
No.
hate my country?
You hate your country
Why would you say that? I love
because you're
my
letting it
country.
happen. What is happening? You support what the people are doing, and you're not saying we need to close the border. You hate your country, Todd.
Wait a minute. I'm
You
following
hate
the
your country. You've
Constitution.
always put this country down.
I'm following
You
the
hate everything about this
Constitution.
country.
The same
You
thing
hate
Keith
the
pretends he
Constitution.
loves. The
You
Constitution
hate white
says,
people.
bring
Todd,
me
you're the only
your,
one that hates. Keith
bring
doesn't
me
hate.
your.
Keith and I don't hate. You're the only one that espouses
Hey,
hate. We don't
Aguna was
hate.
back on. Aguna, can you hear us?
What happened to Aguna?
He got sucked into a hole. That woman was stirring tea, and he went down in a hole.
That's what happened to me last week. Aguna
That was on the movie Get Out. That was on Get Out.
Communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do in sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever we choose on this show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith,
He has that Obama phone. Aguna, you're going to have to do
constitutional
better.
conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and
And the
my
crazy one.
cousin Todd.
Todd
I'm
is
Stacey
a Harvard
Johnson.
of
Let's keep this
sanity.
conversation going on X, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and Stephanie Stallworth's The Flow Television Network.
And don't forget about the dark web.
We're not on the dark web. We'll see you
That's
next
where
week.
you,
Good
that's where
night.
we can find your soul. That's where we can find your soul, man.
That's where we can find you.
Your soul.
Now, I have to get out of here, but Stephen is so crazy.
Hope you
and
feel
so is
better, Todd.
Keith. I hope you
Read a
feel
passage
better.
from
I want you to
Nehemiah.
feel better.
And this
After
was,
your
Nehemiah. He said, don't be
after your
afraid. Remember that the Lord who is great, he says, and glorious, fight for your family and your friends and your homes. Our enemies learned that we knew their plot, and the God had exposed, he said, God had exposed and frustrated their plan. Now, we all returned to our work on the wall, but from then on, it says, only half worked while the others stood guard behind them. And the masons and laborers worked with weapons within their easy reach beside them, or with swords
Okay, thank you.
belted at their sides. So you've got to be armed. You got to be armed
Right.
with knowledge and with skill.
and you have
Knowledge,
to
skill,
read your Bible and say, "Thou
knowledge
shalt not kill."
and skill.
Two-faced con artist. So anyway,
But thou shalt protect.
I want
Yeah.
to talk about these the invaders. There's a documentary about Christopher Columbus and what an abject failure he was when he
Yeah.
tried to invade the Americas, which he never did.
How
'Cause the
many
dum-dum
centuries?
never
How many
got back to-
centuries are you going back?
Hey, I want to talk about your invasion.
What are we in 1400 now?
No,
What are
it
you
was
talking about?
1500s. It was 1500s, dummy, because in the
No, it's
1400s,
1400s, man.
well, that's because you're dumb and ignorant, so I'll allow you to be that way. But
What year did Columbus sail the ocean blue?
that's funny you should ask
All right,
that.
good night.
Where Christopher Columbus
Stephen, you did great. Thanks
never
a lot.
got to
You
America.
did great,
He
Keith.
was over in Jamaica.
Always
He was
always
in the
fight the good
islands, you
fight.
dumb black
Hey,
loogie.
I would
He
like
never
to
knew
be at
where
Jamaica
America
too.
was.
I'd like to be at Jamaica,
Look, he's
Mom.
changing the subject. He's changing the subject.
No, I would
You
like to be
still
in
think
Jamaica.
Columbus? I don't care where you would like
We
to
are
be.
being
I would
invaded
like
by
for you to
people
be
who
in
are
a
going to
history
rip you to
class.
shreds, man. We can't
That's what
defend these
you
people.
people did. Listen, stop
No, we did not.
perpetuating.
You live in the
people
best. You live
came
in the best
over
country. You
here.
have the best
Listen to me.
opportunities.
You people came over here and stole the
And we
land
started a
from
great
people
country,
that,
and you should kiss our ass.
hey, look, that so you're the
We
invader. Now
started
you're
a
admitting
great
it.
country.
Now you're admitting
All you
that
do is bitch.
you
That's
just
right.
admitted that you invaded America.
I
You just
wasn't
admitted
here,
it.
but the Europeans who did made this place a great
Thank
place
you.
for all of us.
Thank
And they
you.
have a
So now,
constitution that ensured that for all of
hey,
us.
so now
And you
let
hate the
others.
Constitution.
Hey, dummy,
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
You don't
others
make any
do what.
sense, Todd.
Listen to me.
Right. You're
Let
right,
others
Stephen.
do unto you what you did to others. You dumb
Stephen, you're
dumb.
absolutely
Go
right.
back to middle school. You
Let
missed
them.
entire sections of
Let.
history and everything, man.
You just stole my words and tried to
The
spin them.
white
Hey,
man built
dumb
this
dumb.
country, brother.
Look, the
And
white man.
everything you
Look at
enjoy,
this
the white
coon.
man
Look at
built.
that coon. The white man. You built it.
White
You
How
man
many
dumb
built
white
it.
men
loogie.
died so you could be free? How many white
Right.
people died? And they did it for
None.
no money, no glory. They
What
did
are
it
you
to
talking about? Where did you
the
get that
war
from?
to
Did
war
you
to
make
end
that up?
slavery. How many white men died so black men could be free? Why don't you kiss
What?
their ass too?
Are
Why
you
don't you
still?
kiss everybody's
Look
ass
at
who
Tom.
died
Look at that
fighting a
coon.
war so you wouldn't be a slave? And
That
you
was
know how
not
you would pay them?
slow.
You'd
Slow.
still stay
Slow
in the
down.
Democrat
That's
Party and
not what the
remain a
war was
slave
about.
for the rest of your life.
Listen
And
now,
you're an
dummy, you.
angry young
Shut
slave
up and
because you're
listen.
scared to be free.
Look. He
You're
won't stop
scared of
talking.
freedom.
He won't stop talking because he doesn't want to hear the truth.
You're
The
scared
war
of
had
freedom.
nothing to do with freeing slaves, you dumb
Yes,
jackass.
they
Listen to
did.
me.
That's what they fought a war
Listen.
for.
Listen, just stop talking.
And his name was
listen.
Abraham Lincoln.
Nobody cares enough
Second
about
best
niggers.
president we ever had.
Nobody cares enough about niggers to die for them, dumb.
They
It
did.
wasn't about
They
black
did.
slaves,
Not
idiot.
everybody was a racist
This
like
was
you back
about-
then. There were
Hey,
very few
stupid.
racists.
Hey, stupid, listen.
You're an
This was
anomaly. Most
this
people
was-
aren't racist, Todd.
Guys,
You're an
stupid.
anomaly.
You are way too stupid.
Look
to
it
talk
up.
to.
Anomaly.
It had
It's not.
nothing
It's
to do
not good
with
in this
Bye.
context, Todd.
This had
Bye,
all-
guys.
everything
Much
to do with
love. Much
keeping
peace.
America